All right, today I wanted to add a tabbed control to this, like a menu system, so that we don't have to keep having these little buttons to switch back and forth between the views. And also that will allow us to get back from the chart view that we had here a little nicer. So to do that, we're going to add a tab controller, a tab bar controller, not a tab view, but a tab bar controller. So I'm going to add it to the screen over here, and we're going to have to move everything around. Tab bar controller, yep. So we have to kind of move this so that I can have more room. All right, so if we put it to the far left of the other stuff that we have to start with, all right, there we go. So I have this tab bar controller, and it has this tab bar at the bottom that will let us switch between different views. So let's see what happens if I drag this little arrow. This changes whose view gets launched first. So I'm going to set it up to launch the tab bar controller. We'll see if it actually does anything. So you can see at the bottom, these are all blank views that it's going to. But if you see at the bottom, we have this tab bar with item 1 and item 2. So I can switch between those by clicking on the little buttons. And that corresponds to these two views, which are blank. All right, so what we need to do, though, is use our views, not the ones that come with this tab bar controller. So we're going to delete these two, just the outgoing views, and we're going to connect to these other guys up here. But first, let's name these. So if we click on the views that we have, like our BMI calculator, in the properties, it needs a title, right? So let's call it a title like this is the calculator. And click on this weight log controller. This is going to be the log. And this chart controller is going to be a bar chart. Right, so each one has a title property, and you can see it at the top of each view now. If you're clicking on, well, if you zoom out, it shows you the little title. All right, so now each one has a title. Any questions on that? Now we're going to add these views to the tab bar controller. So we're going to click and drag to our calculator first, because we want that one to be the first item. And when it pops up to say, what do you want to show, we want a relationship segue, not a show segue. Believe me, this took me a couple hours to figure this out, believe it or not. So this is a view controller relationship between those two. And you notice how it added a nav bar at the bottom of the calculator view. Pardon me? Yeah, I know. So that one goes here. I'm going to drag him down. Actually, let's put him up at the top because he's going to be first. And then my weight log will be second. So I'm going to click and drag to my weight log, pop up, go to relationship segue view controllers. So now I've got two, and then my third one I'll have come over here, drag across again, relationship segue view controller. All right. So now let's run it again.
There's so many lines.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of some of those lines because they're a little painful here. All right, so this is, now I've got 3 items down here. Item 1 goes to here, item 2 goes to my BMI weight log, and item 3 goes to my chart. Isn't that sweet? Just like that, just by dragging and dropping, just like Visual Studio, right? So I've got my controller that goes to each one of these now. But item doesn't really mean a lot, right? So in our properties over here, this is the only way I could see how to change this, is that inside of each scene, like this is my calculator scene, it added this little star is a toolbar item, and it's called item. So if we click on that, we can change that. That one goes to my calculator. So that's going to be the name of that. And then I click on my log. That is going to be, instead of item, it's going to be my log. We'll call it weight log. And this is the text that shows up on the buttons. And then my bar chart scene has an item. We'll call it bar chart. All right, so let's run it again. And we should see some nicer buttons down there. Look at that. Calculator, weight log, bar chart. Isn't that cool? Pretty simple, eh? Now you could add images to these, and I have yet to figure out how to make this text bigger because there was no property for that. But you can add images to these, and the problem is they end up being pretty big, so you really need a nicer image for these that are smaller. So that's my view for my button. That goes to the log. You can see it's part of this whole weight log thing here. So we'd have to create a better image for this, so I'm going to delete that. All right, so any questions on that? Isn't that cool? Pretty simple. Significantly more difficult in Android, just saying. A lot of textual stuff, but this is pretty simple. So now we could get rid of those buttons to go back and forth. Pardon me?
We don't have to?
You don't have to, no. It would make these simpler, right? This BMI calculator could go away, for instance, and all these back and forth charts. All right, so.
So I'm sorry, you deleted the image on the chart view? Is that what you did?
No, on this on the bar chart. I'm sorry, for a particular tab bar item, I put an image here.
Oh, okay.
And so I just got rid of that. That's an image for the button itself.
Yeah.
All right, so now we've got relationship segues and normal action segues that go back and forth. All right, any questions on that? All right, we can do that. All right, so now that we have a little button bar at the bottom, we could add a line chart view as a new item in our tab bar controller. So let's add a new view, a view controller, and let's call this line chart. And we can automatically connect this guy to our tab bar controller to make a relationship segue. Now we've got lots of lines going around. Let's see, is there a... There's not a nice way to
Are you trying to zoom out?
zoom out, yeah.
Go to editor.
Oh,
and
here we go.
canvas. Oh, there, that dude. Yeah.
I was wondering if I could do this. There
Oh,
we
I mean,
go.
I could just right click.
So. Problem is all those other segues that we have. Otherwise, this would look a little nicer, but we've got those buttons going back and forth all over the place, so it looks a little messier. So this is our line chart, and we have to set this custom class to be a let's see, this guy was oh, that's right. We moved it to a view, didn't we? So this guy was a just a view that we added. So let's a view. Just a simple view. There we go. And we'll make this big. And you probably want room up here for controls, so we'll leave that. So this view is going to have a custom class of a line chart view. And this guy needs a controller. So we'll start out by making this very non-dry. We need to add a new file. Add a new file to our project. That is a Cocoa Touch class. And we're going to call it LineChartView and save it. Make sure I'm in the right place. All right, so now we have our text file that's associated with that that view here. Which our view, where'd it go? Our view's over here. So this line chart should show up when we click on the line chart.
And that's just because you named them the same? How did you use
No, I haven't. It won't do anything yet. It's just a blank. You know, we're not doing anything inside of this yet. But let's run it and see if we have at least our 4 buttons to go back and forth. All right, weight log, bar chart, item. Right? So it went to item. since we set that to be a line from the class, that view that's on this class, this blank view, we set it to a line chart view. That's why it's showing no chart data available. That's coming from the library that we added.
What did you say to the line chart?
If you click on the little, I added a separate little view to this.
Yeah, I did that.
And then under the properties over here,
I don't see line chart there.
it's, yeah.
I have bar chart.
Chart.
Oh, never mind. Yep, got it.
Okay. So our app works. Isn't that great? So let's do it the non-dry way first. We need code in here that is very similar to our bar chart view, which is our, we called it the ChartViewController. All right, so we need code like this. So I'm going to copy this set chart across to my I don't want counterparts. Let's go to, sheesh, I want this guy to be my line chart view controller. All right. So we're gonna.
Somehow I didn't get my view controller linked up with my chart.
The view controller do the chart. So if you click on the view, not the little sub blank view, but the entire container here.
Okay.
Well,
Got it.
you got to get it clicked right. It was under the custom class.
Okay, that's what I missed. Thanks.
All right, so let's see, where was I? I was copying code. Copy. Since I have a Windows keyboard, it's a little tough. Paste. All right, so I've got my set chart, which we'll fix here in a minute. I also need my loading chart. So I'm going to copy all the reading of the data and down to the set chart. And that's going to go into my onload right here. All right. So I also though need an outlet from the well, it's hard to see when you have so many of these, doesn't it? I need an outlet from here, from the view that I created, into my my line chart. Here, I think it would put it alphabetically. I need to have an outlet. How come it's not letting me create an outlet? Hello? Huh. Why not?
You have to put below the onload, or did load?
No. Gotta be inside the class. Well. All right, so the problem was, I think when I was showing this custom class again, I lost it, the connection for some reason. That seems like an Xcode bug. I need to select my view and reset this custom class to my LineChartView controller. Once that's in the case, I can now drag into here and get me an outlet that's going to be a, we'll call it line chart. All right, so now, why don't you like that? Why don't you like that? So there's not a, doesn't seem to be a line, yeah, there's a line chart view right there.
I think it's just the chart. It's the line chart.
Well, this is mine. This is just a variable name. This is a class name. Finds it, so why doesn't it like it? Stupid. All right, so the problem is that this new file doesn't know anything about our line chart stuff. We have to import our charts. Duh. There we go. So now we have an outlet that points to that. We can do stuff with this line chart view. So we'll first try and just replace all of these bar chart views with line chart view, right? So find and replace. Search for bar chart view, replace with line chart view. So replace, I like to go through these one at a time instead of doing all. Just in case. Funny. Why? It's not finding that. Let's build it. It's just a transient error Xcode problem because I changed it and it didn't know about it. All right. So now we need to go back and look. We're reading our data in. We're adding our X and Y axes, which should be fine. But when we create our data entries, this should be probably a line chart data entry. Seems reasonable to me, but obviously not right. Yeah. All right, let's leave the data sets them alone then, because if you do look at that, it's an LineChartView is a subclass of, I don't know if you guys saw that or not. If you go look at the definition here, LineChartView is a subclass of the bar LineChartView base, so I think they're tied closely together. Let's just see if this works. Otherwise, we'll have to go to Google. All right, and then it sets the chart. All right, I think that's probably it. Let's see. See if it workies. Okay, we go to our bar chart, that works. Go to our item, and we get a crash, good. So it obviously didn't work. If we look at our stack, so I don't see anything specific that would help me. So at some point in here is where it's crashing, and it's likely the this structure is setting up the chart. So I'm going to comment this out for now. Be nice to have a real editor here. And run it just to make sure our titles and everything else sets in the view. Nope, still get a crash. Alright, so let's comment some more out. Comment all the stuff I copied in here. Make sure that I didn't screw something up with the connections. Yep, I must have. So there's a connection problem between my controller here Oh, because remember I changed this, the variable name. Don't change variable names unless.
Crash, but I don't get a line.
unless you fix this. So we need to delete this guy and reconnect my outlet to my view. There we go. So now let's try it again. Well, let's make sure it still runs. That's why we do a little at a time, right? You can always go back a little bit. There we go. So we're back to where we were. So we should be able to take our comments out and see where else we have a problem. All right, I got a different error, but at least it's inside of. This is inside of the NP Android library itself. So obviously our line data is not set right. So we're going to have to read the documentation on how to set up a line chart and fix these items here. Right? Any other questions on that? We have run out of time, so
I got a question for another.
we'll do this tomorrow then.
Can I grab you real quick?